3, 2, 1. And we are live. Welcome back to another episode of Undecided. My name is Ephraim.
My name's Ray.
And I'm Sunny.
And today we have a special guest for you guys here today. He's sitting to the right of me. His name is Danny Anaya. Say hi, Danny.
How's it going, guys?
Tell us a little about yourself, Danny.
I'm a Provo native, not LDS, and we're here to talk about stuff that matters.
Pedophiles.
Pedophiles.
Today we're going to get in very heated. Very heated. Sunny, take us off.
I guess just like pedophiles is everything about pedophiles. I guess like the way they think, their infiltration in like Hollywood, politics, conspiracies, things that we may know about, like I like conspiracy wise. Just shit like that, you know? Well, I'm not gonna like, you know what I'm saying? Like what else? Like fucking they're pedophiles. They fucking like they like to fuck kids and shit.
Big topic right now is Epstein, right? Because of the documentary. So, have you guys seen it?
No, I haven't seen it.
No.
Mm.
I've followed a little bit behind the case, but haven't seen the documentary itself.
Yeah, I need to see that.
I
My
saw
homegirl taught me what's called brought it up, and she like knows everything about it because like she was like telling me about a whole bunch of how Jay-Z was part of it. I knew Trump was part of it. What's it called Ellen
DeGeneres.
Jenner was part of it. And I showed you the picture yesterday, huh? I didn't show about these guys. So
yeah, you showed me the picture.
Oh, I showed,
The ankle bracelet?
Yeah.
The ankle monitor?
I'm gonna show you from the
Oh
picture.
yeah, of Ellen. I've seen that one.
The picture of the picture in the back where
It like looks like a kid bleeding and shit.
Yeah, you saw that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen
And
that
then
one.
you see the hoodie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'll probably like post a little picture of it somewhere up here and show you guys. But that's crazy to think about, like how crazy in the head you have to be to have like some sort of like a reminder, something to remind you. Because I mean, she obviously has it there.
Yeah.
To like reminder of the good times. You know what I'm saying?
That's fucking crazy.
That's fucking
Do you
crazy.
consider it good times, or
I
do you
mean,
think it's part of this ring reminding her of like, hey, if you say anything, we have proof.
Exactly.
I do think at that level of fame, you have to be indoctrinated into some kind of like society. And I think in order for them to hold each other accountable and hold each other quiet, I think they get video of you like fucking a kid or some shit.
They do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
both have, like some. But I'm saying,
Whether
like,
you
That's
like
why
it
it
or
stays so quiet.
Yeah.
what I'm saying
quiet.
with the pictures, I mean, she obviously has it there to get some sort of pleasure off of it, or else why would you like kind of put yourself out there? You know, I know it's like a specific code, and only people know, like, only certain people know what it is. And again, she probably does get pleasure off of what it comes from, because that's why she posted it up on her wall.
I agree. I mean, the big question is, why do you think we deal with pedophiles today?
If you think about it, pedophilia hasn't really been a thing up until like 60 years ago.
But define pedophilia, like what?
Like fucking like being with a kid.
Like touching a kid. Yeah.
But you don't
Like
think that
being in a
happened- you
relationship
don't think that happened
sexually.
over 100 years ago?
Well, they didn't consider it pedophilia.
Yeah.
Like
So
Well,
you're
was
saying
it wasn't until like
yeah.
60 years ago we as society said, hey, maybe we shouldn't be fucking
so you're
kids.
saying it's not, it wasn't labeled pedophilia. Until
No,
60
dude,
years
like
ago.
fucking you go in like if
You
a
go
guy
marry a 14-year-old.
yeah, in like 19 like with Charlie Chaplin, he was
Yeah.
fucking married to like 3 14-year-olds, bro. Like
But you also got to remember the life expectancy back then was very
a lot
short.
shorter,
So,
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like up until 60 years ago, I don't really think pedophilia was really considered a thing because it was normal to have relations with children. Like that was just normal. I do think I think up until a certain age, like I think if there was like a 27-year-old wanting to get with like a 7-year-old, I do think society at some point, like even in 1919 would be like, hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
But like once that like 17-year-old turns like, I'd probably say like 13 or 14.
Yeah, as soon as they hit like puberty.
Puberty, yeah. I would assume that they're like, all right, fuck it, whatever. I'm not really sure, like, I don't know, look how like long, like, I guess pedophilia has really been a thing. Like, I mean, obviously it's always been around, but like as a society, how long has it been like frowned upon? You know what I mean? Like, because there's a lot of historical figures that were pedophiles, or I guess we would consider like Charlie Chaplin, like I said earlier. You know, like would you consider him like a pedophile? Like he was married to 14-year-old girls, like
Multiple.
yeah, multiple 14-year-old girls. You know, but I think like what we were saying though too is like, you know, I feel like if you want to get to a certain level of fame or
Says
power,
in the 19th century, a significant amount of research in the area has taken place since the 1980s. But the 19th century, it's when it became something.
What switched for people?
what do you think
Yeah.
switched for people?
Yeah.
Culturally? Definitely a culture thing.
Might be life expectancy now.
Now it's longer.
Yeah,
it's
maybe it's
longer
longer. I think people have always thought it's been bad, but it's kind of like what we were talking about before. You know, it's culture. You're just used to it, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe people just finally had enough, and they were thinking, you know, maybe it is a little weird to touch a little boy, you know.
Well, like but we were talking about the United States though. There's still places around the world where like they still.
I mean,
practice.
there's slavery going on today, so I mean,
Yeah, you know, like there's still places around the world where like, you know, a guy can get married to like a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's just,
We're
there's
talking westernized.
yeah, like Western
Westernized.
civilization. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep it in the States. That's what we know.
I wonder. I think the biggest thing is like how we always like want to study the mind of a serial killer. Like I wonder why there isn't that much of the need to study the mind of a pedophile. You know, because like I think a huge reason why there's not as many serial killers as there were like in the 70s and 80s is because like one I think is just not like no longer in like the ethos anymore. It's no longer in like the sphere of thought. But also like we've made a lot of like advancements in understanding the psychology of a serial killer. So we as a society it's a lot easier for us to catch them and pick them out.
Technology too has been
Right,
helpful,
exactly.
but also again it goes against what it's used for as well. Like people use social media and technology for, you know, luring in, you know, kids.
Right.
So,
That's like what I want to know is like what would like why like what makes like a pedophile tick? Like why would they look at a kid and think that's attractive?
yeah,
You
you
know
know,
what I mean?
For me, I would say it has something to do with the development in their mind. Because if a little girl or like a young teenage girl is attractive to like an older man, it's like, is his mind really matured to his age, or is it still drawn back to that age? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, have they actually matured mentally? Their body might have matured, but mentally they might have stayed in a state where they're like 13, 14, 16, 17 years old.
What I think is that they just like, I feel like just the general pedophile is the type of person that just can't get somebody their own age. You have to find somebody that is very like, again, younger, doesn't have no experience in anything, and will listen to like adults. You know what I'm saying?
it's a power thing.
Yeah, it's a power type of thing. They have power over you because again, they're more bigger, they're older than you, and again, you're more of a not a father figure, but like I would say an elder in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I want to say they will like. There's plenty of situations like where girls are like molested by their uncles or their fathers, and they were
family,
married. You know, by family.
That's true.
I think there's a lot of cases where you'll get that creep like behind like the computer screen and shit. That'll be like in chat rooms talking to like 9-year-old girls. But I
what
feel
about,
like
at home, you know?
yeah, I feel like the vast majority of pedophiles are probably guys who could get women. To be honest, in my
You think so?
opinion, yeah, they're either married or they have girlfriends or whatever. I think it might just be like a power thing. Like it might be like a kink or like what's the word? Like a fetish, you know what I mean? Like, but also in the same time, it's like as a society, we don't really see pedophilia within like women, or we don't really consider it within women. Like, if there's a teacher who gets with a student, that would be considered pedophilia. But if like that's a man teacher, like an adult male getting with a female student. But if it's like vice versa with a female teacher getting with a male student, like we as society don't necessarily see that as pedophilia. Like, nice.
Well, it depends. I mean,
See the South Park episode?
I've seen a couple posts on Facebook where they have arrested the female teacher for getting.
Oh, no, they definitely will.
yeah.
Without
They
doubt, they
definitely
definitely
will.
will.
There's still a legal side to it.
Yeah, but I just know in the comment section everybody's roasting the kids.
You snitch, you let it get out.
Yeah.
You had to tell the boys.
Yeah.
To kind of go back off what you were saying about uncles and stuff, so there's actually a study that says 89% of child sexual assault cases involve persons known to the child, such as a caretaker or a family acquaintance.
Yeah.
So 89% of cases, it is from somebody they know,
They know how to get to them.
which is
That's so
really,
dark.
really fucked up.
That's so sad.
Some dark shit. Like, imagine. I kind of like wouldn't even want to go into like the mind of a pedophile.
That's and with the whole
That's important.
with the whole Jeffrey Epstein series, I couldn't finish the first episode. It felt
creepy.
way too creepy. It felt way too like
Sinister, dark.
yeah, dude. Like so. Did you see the full first episode? Did you see
I
parts
saw
of
the
it?
full thing. Yeah.
So I'll talk about this because I know about the first episode.
fucking so
He's just fucking watching it and shit.
I had to.
Look, it's intriguing, but like
It is.
I just felt too I felt too like gross. You know what I mean? Like
no.
I just felt too like disgusted, like just too gross and like dark and shit. So I couldn't watch it. So I just watched F is for Family instead.
I think it's educational as well because Yeah, it is. I'm pretty sure. I haven't seen it. Like I said, I haven't seen it. It sounds messed up from what you're saying, me, and like from the critiques I've read, it sounds pretty messed up. But it's also good to know, like, all right, there's these traits that I can pick out in certain people that are around my kids for the future. You know, like the more knowledge I feel you have, obviously, like you're not gonna catch everything, but I feel like the more knowledge you have, the better you have a chance of preventing it to happening to your kids.
Yeah, I'll say this: like, in the first episode, you don't necessarily learn so much about him. You just know about how at least he got started, or what he was doing. Essentially, you learn about how much money he had. Like a lot of he lived in his main residence was in West Palm Beach, which was the wealthy side. No, Palm Beach is the wealthy side. West Palm Beach is the ghetto side. So he lived in the wealthy side of Palm Beach or whatever. I don't give a fuck. And he had properties in New Mexico, Florida, New York, and Paris.
And the island.
Where was his island at?
It was somewhere in
I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't disclosed.
I have no idea where it's at.
There's a YouTube video where these YouTubers go to the island.
Oh, for real?
Did they get flagged out? Like they told them to get the hell out of here.
I didn't watch the full thing because it's like 2 hours long, but they are avoiding people. They're not trying to get caught.
They sent kids out like, "Hey, get out of here!"
Like they really were like trying not to get caught. But this is after all like everything, so I'm not entirely sure where. I think it's somewhere in like the Caribbean or close to the Caribbean.
I'm sure it's in the.
It's like a tropical area.
What's the place called where like people run away to? It's Caribbean, but it's
by Mexico, the Gulf.
Saint something.
Look it up. Where's Jeffrey Epstein's island, or what area is this island located?
But you know what I mean, though. There's a certain place where a lot of wealthy people go.
Yeah, so Little St. James is a private island. Yeah.
Imagine having
where is
money, buying islands and shit.
Oh no, Oprah.
It's off the coast of the Virgin Islands.
Virgin Islands, that's the one. Virgin Islands. Yeah,
you're
protected out there.
Kind of ironic, knowingly. For when he was doing the shit that he was doing, that shit.
You're protected out there, yeah.
But with the whole thing though, with him is what he was doing is he had a mistress or a wife or whatever, and they would go to like art shows or schools or whatever, and they would lure,
donate,
like they would donate a lot of money, and they'd also lure in young women. And a lot of the people that were in charge of these programs they knew what the Epsteins were about, but because they donated so much money,
cash is king.
Yeah, they just allowed them to do what they needed to do, and he would then introduce himself or whatever, leave it at that, and then probably like a couple months later call back and be like, hey, like I really liked your artwork, or I really like that first girl. That's her experience, and like, well, he'll just introduce himself again and say he wanted to know what their goals and aspirations were, where they're heading, so that way
he could align. I have all this power, I have all these connections, I can do X, Y, Z.
And he would bring them over to his fucking houses, whether New Mexico, Paris, whatever. Show them like, hey, look at my money, look at my status, look at my power, and then he would invite them over again, and then have them sleep over or get an internship, massage, and then that's when the gear started going. Is he would start having girls come over for massages, and it was like a rumor within high schools in Florida or the Palm Beach area that, hey, there's this old guy or this old couple that will give you like a lot of cash just for massages. All you got to do is massage this guy, and he'll give you like $200. So they would go there, they would start off with a massage. Then it would go into something else, obviously, and then you'd give them $200, and you'd be like, "Hey, if you have any friends or anything, let me know, and then I'll give you $200, and I'll give them $200." Yeah, and so it would be like a chain. So that's just how it kept on going, and
he was very very manipulative,
and it was this weird.
Salesman,
and his mistress was in on it too. You know what I mean?
Like she was helping round up a lot of the girls, and she would go a lot of like scouting, and
probably because she got paid a lot.
Yeah,
I think she was in on it too, because it was the first girl, the artist girl. She was saying that she was even being touched by
she would get into like threesomes and stuff.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
some like weird dark shit. Yeah,
for real.
Yeah,
the fact that two people with that sick-minded like mentality like found each other, that's just fucked up.
How the fuck does that conversation even come up?
I know, how does
you know what I mean?
Like the Prince Andrews, all those guys like, hey, like I got these girls, and then you show up and then they're fucking 12. It's like. They're not 18, bro. They're 12.
Yeah.
You go to the White House and Obama orders $60,000 for the pizza.
Yeah,
it's like initiated it.
Like Epstein and this fucking girl.
Epstein.
Probably
Yeah,
Epstein.
probably.
And then
So-
she probably came up with the idea like, oh, we could do it masseuse way, you know.
Yeah.
Because she's creative.
And the guy was uber wealthy. Like there was a
Yeah.
resident of Palm Beach, which itself is an uber wealthy area. Like you have
Millions.
to be millions of dollars.
Like his house in Florida was like 80 million. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Dude, 80 fucking million dollars, bro.
And his residences, his neighbors considered him wealthy.
But
like-
they didn't know what he did.
Yeah, they didn't
always
know what
saw
he did.
girls, and they always saw people moving in and out. They always thought it was weird.
But he was so wealthy that to even them, they're like, okay, this guy's fucking wealthy.
And
Like,
they're
this-
fucking
Yeah.
rich.
Yeah, and they're fucking rich, dude. But it just shows you that, like, because that was his job. And I heard his dad was the same thing, but something different. Like, I heard his dad was like a professional blackmailer.
Wow.
Or something like that.
And that's
I
what
could
he
be
would say a
wrong.
lot. He would say like, no one can bring me down. You know, I can get away with anything I want. I know I have friends in powerful places. You know, like don't
Yeah.
fuck with me, kind of thing.
And then you
Yeah.
see pictures
So-
with him with Trump and Bill Gates and all
So
that
you're
shit.
saying his dad was kind of like
Clintons, don't
fucked
forget
up
the
in a
Clintons.
similar way?
I don't know if his dad was a pedophile or anything,
But,
but I do
like,
know
he
his dad
had-
was in the blackmailing business.
Okay.
Blackmailing.
So if the father had something like that, do you think a gene could have been passed down to the son that made him like go more towards like darker shit?
Well, again, I personally don't know if his father was a pedophile or into that shit. I
Well, I
just
mean,
know that his dad made a career off of blackmailing
No,
people.
what he's trying to say is like, do you think because his father was into that sort of business, do you think he molded to was the gene passed down to him where he even got darker than his father?
I mean,
That's-
It's like
that's a
it's like
possibility.
alcoholism.
Well,
you
I
know?
mean, the big question is, I mean, why do all these rich and famous people? Why are they all not just Epstein? You know, why do people get to a point when they're so wealthy that, you know, all rules are out the book and we can.
I think you
start
just
doing
think
these
you're
things.
above the law.
Yeah, they're
you
just
know?
power
Yeah.
hungry.
And I
just-
mean, he was above the law. I mean,
Yeah.
in his first court case, he got let go. Essentially, he was gonna be tried as a sex offender only, bro.
It's fucking
And-
insane.
Yeah, dude. At the court, well, not to ruin the thing for you, but on his trial, like where they were actually going to convict him, where he was convicted,
Oh.
dude, he was gonna give away all of his net worth,
Yeah.
all of his like
Yeah.
$500 million, bro. And I'm glad they said no. That was the right
Hey,
thing
man,
to do.
so he gave up all his network for what?
like
To-
the
for freedom.
immunity.
Yeah,
like the
immunity.
immunity.
To
Oh,
buy out
wow.
his way.
Yeah.
Holy
And they
shit.
said, dude, 500. They said because there's obviously no cameras and stuff like that in the courtroom, but they said the attorneys were literally just negotiating numbers with the judge.
Fucking hell, dude.
Really?
Jesus.
to
That's
buy
so-
his freedom, immunity, dude. That's crazy.
But that's the
That's
thing, like what
crazy.
Danny was saying, like Jeffrey Epstein is not the only one.
Yeah.
There's like there's so many politicians, there's so many celebrities that are into that shit. You know,
Uh,
like
It's weird.
Like, what's her name? What's the
Which one?
Hillary
Helen?
Clinton.
Oh,
Oprah?
Hillary?
Hillary.
Oprah?
Was it Hillary? Yeah, it was,
All of them.
yeah.
no, well,
yeah.
right
She was the
now,
one with the emails, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
WikiLeaks
That-
emails.
the-
Yeah.
And then she had like a computer in her bathroom and shit. That's fucking
Well,
weird.
like what
Yeah.
Sonny talked about, like
Uh.
Obama in those WikiLeaks emails ordered $65,000 one night worth of just pizza overnighted from Chicago to the White House.
Yeah.
That's
Who
crazy.
in their right mind or at like midnight?
It's like
Yeah.
so crazy, like to fathom that. They're like, Obama,
But people
he
don't talk
doesn't-
about these things.
Yeah, they
yeah,
don't talk.
but like Ellen and Oprah right now currently are
They have indictments.
they have indictments, and I think they're also on house arrest too. They have like ankle monitors and shit,
bro.
and their
yeah.
involvement in child sex trafficking.
Like this
they were
whole
involved-
like
I know
child
Ellen
sex ring.
was, but like I didn't know Oprah was.
Oh fuck yeah, Oprah was, dude.
The fuck?
Oprah was feeding the Clinton boys and girls left and right and shit. And you don't hear anything about it in the news. You don't hear anything about it in the news.
Because the news is owned by 6 corporations, and who owns the 6 corporations?
Exactly. And also on top of that, the news it's more juicy for the news and more beneficial for them to start a race war.
Than it is to talk about pedophiles.
Yeah, and expose actual problems because those are the people they're causing the division and shit, and they're the fucking pedophiles and shit. But they would rather have us pinning. That's what they want to do. They want to pin us against each other and shit.
And that's why it's dangerous that people just look at, only certain news outlets.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I never believe anything when it comes from the news because it's
Fact check it, yeah, yourself.
always fact check it and shit. But yeah, right now they're facing indictments for that. But again, you don't hear anything about that. And then, like you said, she destroyed her fucking server was in her fucking bathroom.
Caught on
That's
fire.
crazy.
Caught
All
on
of a sudden-
fire.
All of a sudden.
All of a sudden.
Fire department has to pull up.
It-
Put out this fire in her
But
house.
doesn't Epstein still have a majority of his emails? I mean, or her emails or something of the sort? The ones that they
Well, he's
send it back and
dead.
forth?
Do you also that opens a question? Do you think Epstein is dead?
Is he dead? When did
Oh,
he
you know,
die?
he's dead.
Do you
There's for
think-
sure. You see, there's a picture of him dead.
So
Like, did he commit suicide? I don't
well,
know.
no, because there's also people that think he's not dead, right?
But here's Yeah, if we're going to like conspiracy, I don't know. It's a possibility he
Yeah,
couldn't be dead because
he's a billionaire, bro.
if he was so
Yeah.
like strong about saying, oh, like, you can't bust me, don't like mess with me, what makes you think he wouldn't fake his own death in prison? And
Well,
then
he
just
had
go
to take
his
it out.
island?
Well, he has a connection to do that.
Yeah. Well, when they raided his house in New York, they found passport, like a fake passport. They found a bunch of shit. Like he had an escape plan all along. So after watching the documentary, at least my personal opinion was that obviously we know he didn't strangle himself. The rope that they said that he used obviously wasn't used. It was like a thin wire, right? That was around his neck.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking was just a theory, right? What if, since he knew he was going to the can, and obviously there's people that want him dead, but what if he planned his own like murder, his own suicide? Like, what if someone came in that he set up to make it look like a suicide, instead of everyone thinking, oh, you know, maybe it was people that sent in people to kill him? Because I also think he also had a lot of dirt on a lot of people, obviously.
Well,
Yeah.
it could also be in the sense like even some more Inception shit. Maybe they formulated a plan that he was going to fake his own death in the
Exactly.
sense that it would be a suicide on paper,
Exactly.
but it would look like it was a murder so that the public would talk more about the murder rather than it actually being a suicide.
Right.
To get
Get their thought process on that.
to install the thought process that he actually is dead.
Yes.
But because if he just was murdered, that just leaves you with the possibility that he's still alive, that he's not.
Exactly.
But if there's an extra layer of, oh, how about like this? It's like, okay, look, we're gonna fake your own death, but we're gonna make it seem like we're gonna tell everybody that you committed suicide, but really we're gonna make it look like you were murdered.
Exactly.
So that way they're gonna be thinking that you're dead, and they're gonna be focused on that. You know what I'm saying?
That's
So
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So that could be a possibility. I mean, there's so much power and money.
Another
Like,
conspiracy theory that we could think about is like, who's the ringleader? You know, ringleader of like this whole thing.
But who knows?
Because I'm pretty
Chapo.
sure like they're all connected in a way. Who's the ringleader? What makes you think the ringleader?
well, I think he was.
wasn't
Yeah, I
like
think
you think he
Epstein
was the
was.
ringleader?
I think
Yeah.
he
You don't
was.
think somebody
That's-
above him was?
Well, I mean, I don't know, but
I don't know.
from what it looks like, I think he might have been.
Because if we're talking about connections with different celebrities, I mean,
And royalty.
yeah, like royalty and stuff like that. I don't know if Epstein would be the ringleader. Yeah, he made a lot of money, had an own island.
it would make sense for him to be the. I mean, it wouldn't be
but
Prince
it would
Andrew.
be, it would be too obvious.
They're just guess. They're just
Yeah.
It would
sicko
be
guess.
it would be too obvious.
Yeah.
You'd put yourself too much in the spotlight.
Yeah, it'd be too obvious. So it's like, what if the ringleader that really isn't Epstein was like, oh shoot, like he's gonna crack under pressure. We have to make it look like he killed himself, and then have somebody kill him.
Well, I think it might have been the powers of B. You know, the Prince Andrews, the Trumps, the
All of them,
Clintons.
all
I
of
think
them.
they all
All of them.
communicated with each other and said, "Hey, we gotta get rid of this guy.
He's
because
too much of a liability.
Yeah, he's too much of a liability," and they just, you know what I mean?
And that happens. They
Yeah.
do off people all the time.
Exactly.
So who's not to say they wouldn't do that to Epstein?
yeah,
I'm
I think he was a ringleader. For what I know, I'm not an expert
I think
on
he
it.
was a top dog.
Yeah, I think
one of the
I
top
think
dogs.
the way that he had his status and he had his wealth was people in the 1% were like, hey, you know, do you want to get with, you know,
A young
boys
girl.
or a
Yeah,
young girl?
Young
Like,
girl, young boy.
I have a
yeah.
guy that can make it happen for you, but he's gonna require, you know, like maybe I don't know what.
Cash footage of you doing it.
Yeah,
Just
like 160,000.
Blackmail
You
goes
know,
into that.
he's like he's gonna have a ticket price of 160,000, but you know he has this party up in the hills I could take you to. You know, like I think he
some
was
shit
that
like
guy. I think
enticing.
yeah, I think he was the plug, but instead of like dealing like crack and shit and like weed and shit, it was kids. I
Yeah,
think that
it's
was
kids.
his. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was his profession.
So do you think he was the ringleader here in the U.S.? Because this
All
goes
over.
I think
more
all
than-
over
all
the
over.
world.
All
I think
over.
all
All
over
over
the
the
world. Yeah.
That island was a destination point for a lot of people. Like
Yeah.
So that when I told Ray this yesterday, I can't remember what week it was. It wasn't too long ago, but there was a week that came out, and I'm trying to remember the reason why. But there was a week that came out where a bunch of people from the Vatican, like a lot of big heads from the Vatican, like popes and all those things, were arrested. Same week, that a bunch of Saudi leaders were also arrested, and and a lot of people are saying that it has ties to the whole Epstein deal. I think it was right after he died, I want to say.
Really?
That's
It was the
crazy.
same week that, and I remember those two things specifically, that people from the Vatican, I mean, I'm Catholic, but they're still pedophiles.
Yeah, it
out
would be
there.
like archbishops and
Whatever they're
cardinals
called.
and
I don't even
shit.
know what the hell
Yeah.
they're called, you know? And also people in Saudi Arabia. So this just shows, it just goes like push come to shove. It's all over.
Yeah.
It's all over.
the
for
top
sure.
top dogs and
Yeah, the
some other
1%.
countries,
How Sonny said, yeah, the
that's
1%.
crazy.
I just wonder, like, so like, what makes, like, why is Epstein, like, was Epstein a pedophile before all the money and power, or did he acquire the pedophilia, or did it like manifest itself once he received the money and power?
Do you think he got the power from the pedophilia?
That's what I'm saying. Like, do you?
Well, he was also a college professor. Do you think he was, raping people in school? Making girls do favors? I mean, we can have that conversation too. Just because when he was caught the first time doesn't mean that was the first time he did it. That's just because he got caught.
And it's weird too, because like we were saying earlier, like if Epstein was alive, like if he was doing what he was doing like 60 years ago, like in the 60s or 50s, nobody would really bat an eye.
Exactly.
Like nobody would really.
And he's
fucking
also
care.
a guy from this area. I mean, when he died, he was in his 60s.
Yeah.
So that's why that thought process came to mind of what if Epstein did take his life, and that was his way of haha, I still win. You still can't lock me up.
Ugh,
true.
Because I mean, if he's that sick and evil to run a fucking,
he looks weird too.
He looks weird.
His mouth is like his mouth looks like the Joker from the Dark Knight without the makeup. You know what I mean? It's like really like slit.
I never seen him.
Like
he's a creepy looking dude. So that's why I was thinking maybe what he ended his own life so other people couldn't, because also his wealth went, a lot of it, I think most of it actually went to his brother. So
he's a brother?
Yeah, he's a
poor guy.
What if his brother is in the same
He
thing?
probably is in the same shit. There's no way his brother doesn't know what the fuck he was doing. There's no fucking way.
Especially getting all his wealth after.
Oh yeah.
That's a big one.
He was a lot shorter than I thought he was gonna be. I thought he was gonna be like at like 6'3" or 6'4". I think he's
Holy
like
shit,
5'1".
he looks hella different than I imagined him.
What do you think he looked like? Some like bald nigga or
Some
something?
like bald fat dude.
Nah, bro.
That's how I envisioned it. This is the first time looking at him.
No.
Oh, what the hell?
But no, you see pictures of him with Donald Trump. You see pictures of
All
him.
the elites. All the elites.
You see who was that? Who was the girl that plays Pepper in Iron Man? She's the wife
I
of
know you're
Robert
talking
Downey
about.
Jr.
She was. Different.
She's
actor.
also really close with Harvey Weinstein. Oh,
on Harvey
and
Weinstein's
in the
computer.
and then in the documentary, you see a picture of Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein together.
Sickos, man.
Isn't that fucking insane?
Well,
the dynamic duo, those
so-
fucking sick fucks.
Exactly. So talking about Harvey Weinstein, so everyone knows. I mean, go do your research. Harvey Weinstein's his computer was confiscated. They did a raid on his home, and we talked about this. In New York, the state that it was done in, when they confiscated his computer and they were going through whatever files he had on there, it was literally they had to take multiple people, multiple investigative officers into shifts as to watching the footage that's on his laptop.
Oh my
Because it was so sick that there's so much of it that one person could not fathom that much whatever the hell they're watching, right?
Oh my god,
that's crazy. Not only did wasn't it like torture as well that they
the mutilation, bro.
There was like a huge bust in Utah like this past
Well, that whole thing goes into more than just the sex trafficking. I mean, the child trafficking is big, but
human
we have to think about it like organs go for
the
like
placenta.
a lot of money, bro.
Oh yeah.
A lot of things like
did you know you can't eat your own placenta just off the bat? You have to get like paperwork signed and shit.
You have to bring
you have to get permission from the hospital to eat your own placenta.
You have to sign all this paperwork ahead of time. And I was also told, because my cousin just had a baby, you have to bring your own cooler, like on ice.
Yeah.
So they can legit plop it in. Why else wouldn't they let you keep that shit otherwise? Because they're selling this stuff.
Yeah, it's fucking insane.
Who
It's
knows
your
for
own.
what?
It's your
Yeah.
own
That's what I'm saying,
placenta.
like,
Like that's crazy.
There's
That needs to be a
kids.
law that needs to be fixed.
There's so many
fucking
kids that go
crazy.
missing. A portion of them are used for sex trafficking, I'm pretty sure, and a portion,
Especially
of
the
them,
women. For
yeah,
sure.
especially the women, and a portion of them, I'm pretty sure, are used for like organs and whatnot. And I wouldn't even go to as far as think as like something like Get Out happens, you know?
Yeah.
Like what happened in Get Out, how they do brain transplants.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think they do brain
Yeah,
transplants, but I think
brain
they
transplant.
fucking brainwash you.
Yeah.
I feel like they just like totally like around like the Ellen thing. They torture you in some way off of some sort of pleasure that you have.
Look up Jeffrey Epstein with famous people and let's see what pops up.
Oh no!
But why don't we fucking have we know that Harvey Weinstein's a sick fuck. We know that Jeffrey Epstein's a sick fuck.
All
and
the Hollywood elites.
Yeah, and we know that they're close. Why don't we be like, hey, why don't we just pull Harvey out of the cave and be like, look, we're gonna let you out for 1 hour. You know, like we have a chain around his neck and shit. Like, look, we're gonna let you out for 1 hour, and you're not gonna redeem yourself or anything. But hey, you're already down the fucking hole. So might as well try to at least help us understand what the fuck was going on.
For real.
Like he knows. Like if there's anybody who's alive that can't
lot of them know.
You know, like who can't get their way out. Like what more could you do to Harvey Weinstein that hasn't been done to him already? Other than harming his family, which
or
I can
himself.
Or himself. But I mean, like, it's surprising that the guy hasn't committed suicide already. Like,
Right.
If I was him, I would have killed myself a long time ago. Like,
Yeah.
you can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. No one wants to be seen with you. Like,
all eyes are on you.
So going back to the one you were saying about Utah. So yeah, it was a 26 suspect arrest for human trafficking.
Was it? I thought it was the child pornography.
well, there's a child pornography one, and
Well, no, this goes included in it.
Yeah.
So they
Okay.
arrested 26 people that are part of this like human trafficking ring, and they found just files and files. And that CEO here too, bro. He
Yeah,
only
the
got
CEO.
what 200 and.
I heard they were.
But there's a CEO?
They had
So there was a CEO. Yeah.
with
go
child pornography.
He had 13,000 followers or something like that.
Something
my
like that. But
God.
the crazy part about it is I saw on
his sentence.
Facebook.
No, his sentence is the craziest part. He got what?
Like
a
200
year?
and something days.
Like
oh my
No, no,
yeah,
no, no,
like
no.
less than a year.
What I
Oh
saw on Facebook, they're having a petition to have him freed.
Oh,
That's what,
free.
yeah, free, something like that. on
Oh
Facebook,
my
yeah.
God, what?
Or something regarding of having him not go to court, something, a petition. And people were signing up on that shit. I saw it. I'm like,
Remember a couple
people
of
are
years
sick.
ago when that one activist group, I don't want to call them activist groups because they're a piece of shit, but they
the
were,
Knights of something.
yeah, they want, because they believe that like, hey, like they want to like make pedophilia legal or whatever, so they're gonna have a parade here in Provo, and everyone's like, if you guys fucking
Oh yeah,
come
they
here,
were preaching that
We're gonna shoot you.
we're gonna
yeah.
fucking shoot you
Yeah,
guys, like, we're gonna fucking
they
kill
were
you guys.
preaching some shit along the lines of like men have the right to rape women and shit like that.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Say that in a different. Yeah, say that in a different setting. You'll see what happens.
Exactly. So let's look at the pictures right here. So obviously there's Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. Who's this old nigga? He's with some old ass dude that has.
I have no idea which picture you're talking about.
Okay, we'll just go through them. Just like see, there's also one with him and Bill Gates, obviously.
You think Bill Gates was into that
Bill
shit?
Gates is
Oh,
very into
definitely.
this.
Yeah.
Bill
Or
Gates-
there's also
Bill-
R. Kelly. R. Kelly was a huge
Oh, yeah, I
one
can see,
too.
I can see
R. Kelly was a big, but he messed up.
Yeah, I mean, I can
I'm
see R.
surprised
Kelly
they
and that
haven't
shit.
offed R. Kelly.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised they don't I'm surprised they don't fucking leak. Like I'm surprised like
I'm surprised they don't break. Yeah.
Yeah, they
But
don't
I think
break.
that's
Like
why
what's
there's such a tight niche in the group.
Like,
Like
even if they
things
had
like
dirt.
Ellen, they'll be like, "Yo, we're gonna come put this picture in your background, put it live, so people speculate about you."
yeah.
And just remember, you know that picture's back there. People will just think it's a piece of art. Some people will catch on. But if you say anything, we will release the whole video. Like, bro, like who knows what kind of blackmail they really have on all these celebrities that are making millions and millions of dollars a year, but they have something on them, on every single one of them that makes them stay quiet.
Right. Who fucking knows? Maybe it takes more than them having a video of them fucking a kid to stay quiet. Because I mean,
there's
like,
something else.
Definitely.
oh, because like fucking R. Kelly has a video of him peeing on a fucking
Yeah,
like a
what the
12,
fuck?
14-year-old girl.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
14.
Yeah, and that was like back in like the early 2000s, and he still had a
Yeah.
career after that. Like,
Yeah.
like what more? You know?
Yeah, especially like if you were to travel to that island, I'm pretty sure they have countless videos. Especially if you've gone there multiple times.
Oh fuck yeah!
Hell-
If you're a
hell
good
of
old
video.
Bill
That's
Clinton
way-
and
Will
you
you-
have the
will you-
platinum VIP
Oh,
pass,
Oh yeah, Mr. Bill's on there all the time, bro.
flown like
He
26
probably
times
got a
and shit.
fucking his
Yeah.
own like
Check the flight logs. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
you can see the
picture
flight.
frame on the one of his castles on the island.
What about Michael Jackson?
Oh, poor man. Dude. I've heard too much stuff about
because
Michael
this is
Jackson.
what I would say. First, we've been talking about the money, we've been talking about the power, we've been talking about the fame. There's no one that fits that
Michael
mold
Jackson.
than Michael Jackson.
And he's dead, so we can talk about him.
What if he was the ringleader?
No, I don't think I
not
genuinely to my core, and this may be a little bit biased because there's two people, and the reason why I'm in the entertainment business is for two people, Michael Jackson and The Rock. Like those were my idols growing up, so I may be a little bit biased, but there's just I don't know. There's just something about Michael that I genuinely just don't feel like he was a pedophile.
Did you go to Camp Big Springs with us?
No, it's
You
too
didn't remember
poor.
that year? Oh, so I remember we were coming back on the bus, and we got down to by Timpanogos, right, where that's where they dropped us off, and that's what people were talking about on the way back. That's when Michael Jackson died. Was when we were on the way back from Camp Big Springs. People were
Really?
Like no,
I
no.
remember I was
way.
playing Halo 2 with Jake at his house when I heard that Michael Jackson died.
Yeah, it was like a big thing.
It's crazy, but I genuinely don't believe he was that kind of person simply because of why he was doing the things that he was doing. I think
No.
because like the guy was like A++ celebrity ever since he was 11. He was an international star ever since he was 11. So
much pressure.
So much pressure. Instead of going to school, he was performing. Instead of going to school dances and making friends and getting the first kiss and getting his heart broken,
just who we grew up with.
he was in the studio recording. Instead of playing sports, he was rehearsing. Like, he never had a childhood. He never, and I think also I bet at a young age too, is also invited to a lot of these Hollywood parties where there was probably a lot of young boys and a lot of young kids and jacuzzis naked, and there was a lot of cocaine and stuff. And I'm not saying like he's just some magical guy who just may have thought of it differently, but there is that possibility that he probably saw adults as predatory.
Yeah.
Not only in that aspect, but also in the sense of like negotiations and business. How many times has he been fucked over by managers, including his own father?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think the guy grew up with the
ill intent.
Yeah, with the ill intent. Like, I don't think he saw adults or grown-ups as like good people. I think he went towards children more because children naturally are innocent because they're not old enough to be corrupted yet.
Yeah.
And with him not having a childhood, I think that kind of molded to what we see now with him having the fucking Neverland and the amusement park and the zoo and shit like that. I think it's just a mixture of him not having a childhood and only trusting children because he just saw adults as predatory due to his upbringing. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah,
So let me ask you this, because I don't care about the side, but it's just because I know it's something that's been brought up. What do you think about the people that have the kids that are now adults that said they have slept in the same bed as Michael Jackson?
That's just okay. Now that is, I think, completely wrong. Regardless, because you have to think about if it was your kid. Like, would you be comfortable? You know what I mean? Like, 100%. If I wouldn't be comfortable,
you have to put blame on the parents too.
Oh yeah, point. But I think a lot of the
situations, as soon as they're in there, I mean, they can't do anything about it. As soon as they walk through the gates, I mean.
Right, but I think there, I heard like there was a couple stories where like when he did sleep in the same bed with the kids, there's a reason as to why not. I think with one situation, he slept in the bed with the kid was because the kid couldn't sleep, so he offered the bed and was gonna sleep on the floor, but the kid wanted him to sleep with him because he was scared.
Big ass bed too.
Oh yeah, it was a massive bed or whatever. His room has 2 stories in it itself.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But I don't know, like again, I can't. There's no reason for me to be like, okay, Michael Jackson is different than every other celebrity, but I just for some reason have that feeling. So
yeah, no, I feel that. It's funny because he'd make fun of his laugh. Not his laugh. It's like because he was on that. Was it the Scary Movie 3? Was it?
He wasn't on there.
They made fun of him.
They made fun of him on there. Like,
of
early
him.
2000s, Hollywood made him look so bad.
All
It's
those,
TMZ all over.
Yeah.
Every single spoof movie there was a Michael Jackson reference.
Like
on
South
there.
Park made fun of him, Family Guy made fun of him.
that was
The guy, I feel like the last few years of his life, I feel it was
Bad.
hard for him to look at the TV to see the way that he was portrayed.
That's crazy.
But I genuinely don't see him being like a Jeffrey Epstein though.
He went out like because a lot of people went to his funeral, didn't they? Or like
His wake
People
or
were
whatever.
crying, bro.
it's crazy because like
There's
everything
Kobe all over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whole shitload of people,
Rest
and
in
then
peace.
everybody started like saying like what's called starts talking good things after he passed away.
That's what always
That's
happens.
always
though.
happens,
That's
though,
what always
yeah, it's
happens. Same with
crazy.
Amy Winehouse. I remember when Amy
Yeah.
Winehouse was alive, so many people talked so much shit on her. It wasn't until after she died that people started,
Oh, I'm sorry. Same thing with Kobe, bro. People hella hate Kobe.
yeah.
Just from a soul like sport aspect. But
Yeah.
I mean, when he's gone, right? And
Yeah.
and people are like, oh, he's now the greatest. The same people that I heard talk shit about him,
Yeah.
that LeBron was better or Michael was better. Oh, rest in peace, Kobe. You
Yeah.
know, he's the
Yeah.
greatest. You know, it's so sad.
But I at the end of the day just want a lot of these celebrities, these politicians who are in this fucking
To come out.
this pedophile ring, because we all know there is fucking one. We all know there is.
We're just the pawns in the game.
Yeah, I want them to be exposed so bad. I feel like Tom Hanks is one of them.
Oh, for sure.
Oh
For
yeah.
sure.
What
Even though I
about
loved-
Jim Carrey?
Oh, that hurt.
Jim Carrey.
That hurts.
That hurt, but I feel like it, bro. He's crazy now.
When that list comes out of
All
all
the indictments.
all the
when they're
fucking-
unsealed.
yeah,
that's the
hurt.
next big
That's
thing that's
gonna
gonna
be
happen in
crazy.
2020. I feel like the list.
That indictment sheet's gonna come out before the election.
Yeah, you think
Oh,
so?
yeah.
100%.
They got to come out with that list. But
That's gonna drop bombs, bro.
Yeah.
It's gonna drop the bombs.
I will say
That's
this though
crazy.
too. Even like at my school, the school that I went to, there was like
LA, right?
there was teacher student relations. But granted,
100%.
it was college, so it was legal or whatever. But still, it's like
so weird.
the authority student teacher relationship. It's like, what the fuck? But I remember seeing teachers like hug students, and there was this one dance teacher that had a reputation. They called him Mr. White, but his last name wasn't White. They just called him Mr. White because he was always coming on chicks all the time.
Oh,
that was his fuck. That was what the dancers called him, was Mr. White, because that was his reputation.
and no one says shit. You know that? No one says shit.
No, it's just part of the culture. It's part of the industry. It's part of the game. You got to pay to play. Like,
You gotta pay to play.
it's dark. But when that list comes out, there's gonna be a lot of celebrities on there that
and people are gonna be like, no.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt when we see it.
It's gonna hurt a lot of people's feelings.
Yeah, but we for the sake of young women and young men, but especially young women, it's like we as society no longer can like set the bar so low where it is right now. You know what I mean? Like we can't, like, I don't want my daughter to be born into a world where like that's just a possibility, for how unrealistic that sounds. But it's
true.
like,
It makes me scared to have kids, honestly.
especially a daughter. Like, I don't want to have a daughter in a world like this. It's like, come on, like, what the fuck?
Well, I said that too to Danny the other day speaking. He's like, and boys, bro, because if you think about it, it just has how many fucked up people there are raping little girls. There's just the same amount raping little boys.
I don't want to say the same amount, but I'd probably say a lot.
There's
more
a
than
good
there
high
was back in
amount.
the
There's a
past.
good high amount.
Yeah, well, there's definitely a lot for sure. Maybe the same amount. I don't
It's just
fucking
scary
know.
to be able to raise a kid,
Yeah.
Especially if you have good looking kids, it's scary.
Yeah.
And what I would want, man, is how, especially right now, I don't know when you guys are gonna drop this, but how people are very focused on the whole BLM and all the protests right now. If we could if everyone, because I'm sure everyone can agree on this, if people could put that same energy into bringing down pedophilia and making laws higher, and you guys want to protest about something that actually matters, do that.
Yeah.
Put your energy towards
Because
that.
I feel like the BLM thing, even though the core is really good, I feel like
It's infiltrated.
It's infiltrated with a lot of movements, which at that level are. But I feel like it's the media wanting to start a race war. I honestly fucking do. And it's kind of sad to say, I'm just going to end on this note, but when you watch documentaries about the KKK or racists and shit who are like they're open racists now,
Right.
and they do like their little fucking, their training with their guns and shit, they always say like, hey, there's always going to be a race war. And now it's like and you never fucking believe it, you know.
But now it's like coming to true.
Like there
And I
might be a
definitely
fucking
think
Like
it
we
has
had a
a lot to do with
protest
the
and
media.
a cop car flip over in Utah.
Yeah.
Like when does that shit
Of all the
happen? You know?
states, like Utah.
And those
Crazy
lady shit on it.
Yeah, and she fucking shit on it. But it's like those
twerking
racists
on
are
it,
like
yeah,
sounding
for
a
real.
lot more like, like they might kind of have a
They might be onto something.
yeah. Like there might actually be a fucking civil war at least, let alone a race war.
I hope no one gets killed running for president. I hope
In
no
debate, in debates
nominee.
and politics, people always die.
I mean, doesn't mean
Like what? Like, you mean like Joe Biden's getting clipped, or like?
I'm not saying just Joe. I just don't want anyone. Just because I feel like if someone does get murdered, it's that could cause like a civil war. You know?
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Like imagine, because there's far wing left, there's far wing right.
Yeah.
There's people that are diehard Obama fans, diehard Trump fans, diehard Clinton fans,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
Bernie fans. Imagine a sitting president in our day and age got murdered. Especially with all the tension with the corona, with the BLM, the riots, the shutdown. People are already angry. People don't have money. They have a bunch of time that they can invest into these things.
Yeah.
And it definitely could turn things upside down, I think, very badly.
I don't know if there is a civil war. I just know that like the conservatives, I probably would bet would probably win.
Yeah.
Just simply off the culture and with guns and
Guns and
shit.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because people are now like talking about gun rights again, and it's good. Just because there's a school shooting doesn't mean guns are bad.
Yeah. Like a lot of people are now looking at guns. Are like, oh, like this isn't like a bad idea. Like, it's crazy.
Anyways,
they'll get caught though. Those pedophiles will get caught. We'll be there for it.
They will.
I hope they're caught in our lifetime.
Yeah, I want to.
for real.
I want
That's
to. I want to
for
see the
sure.
list.
I want to see the. I'm gonna take a picture of it. Fucking sickos.
There's gonna be a
Yeah,
list.
dude.
Damn it, we're gonna see the fucking list. I know the Obama's are gonna be on there. I know they are.
That's crazy.
All right. Well, that's another episode of Undecided. My name's Ephraim.
Name's Ray.
I'm Sunny.
Danny.
This is Danny. Thanks
remember
for watching.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
Hit that notification icon.
Peace.